AITA for ruining my party after my girlfriend put her best friend's name on my cake? My name is Liam. I am 31 years old, and I restore vintage aircraft for private collectors. For the past 8 years, I have worked on everything from World War II fighters to luxury executive jets. When your job is to make sure a 70-year-old plane does not just fall out of the sky, you learn a lot about precision, details, and consequences. I always thought that skill helped me read people too. I was wrong. I met Chloe about 18 months ago at a fundraiser for the local children's hospital. She works as a pharmaceutical sales representative. She has this way about her, always impeccably dressed, always able to make you feel like the most important person in the room. We hit it off instantly. In less than 2 months, we were official. She introduced me as her boyfriend, posted photos of us on social media, and brought me to family dinners. Her parents seemed to like me. I was a real part of her life. We built routines: Taco Tuesdays at a popular spot near her downtown loft, Saturday mornings at the farmer's market, Sunday afternoons with me tinkering in my hangar while she did paperwork in the small office. Everything felt solid and stable, except for one person, Ethan. Ethan was her best friend from college, a 9-year history she mentioned constantly. Ethan says we should try this, or Ethan wants to check out that new restaurant. At first, I thought it was normal. Everyone has close friends. The issue was that Ethan never behaved like he was just a friend. The first time I met him was at one of Chloe's company holiday parties. When I walked in, he completely ignored me. He gave her a hug that lasted an uncomfortably long time, offered me a limp handshake, and immediately went back to telling her inside jokes that I was clearly not a part of. I noticed how she angled her body toward him, how her laugh was louder, and how she would touch his arm when she spoke. When I later mentioned how excluded I felt, she told me I was overreacting. That was my first mistake, letting it go. Ethan still had a key to Chloe's apartment from years ago when they were roommates. I did not have one yet. He would sometimes just show up unannounced. One evening, I had set up a special dinner for us with candles and a nice bottle of wine. At exactly 8 o'clock, he let himself in with his key, grabbed a plate from the cabinet, and sat down right between our two place settings. She acted like it was the most normal thing in the world, almost handing him a fork. He spent the next hour complaining about his divorce while I basically became invisible. After he left, I asked why she had not told him we were on a date. Her response was that he needed her support. I suggested he could have come over any other day, and she called me inflexible. This pattern kept repeating. He would interrupt our movie nights, text her at 2 in the morning while we were in bed, and insist on calling me Leo, even though I corrected him every time. Eventually, she told me that Tuesdays at her loft were now his regular night to come over. I stopped going. She said I was being childish. The real test came about 4 months later. We were at a group dinner at a brewery downtown. There were 8 of us in total, all couples. We got there early and claimed a long, reserved table. I went to the restroom just before the others arrived. When I came back, Ethan was sitting in my chair. My jacket had been tossed onto an empty chair at the very end of the table. He had his arms stretched across the back of Chloe's chair, leaning in and whispering something that made her laugh genuinely. I stood there for a few seconds, waiting. She made eye contact with me, held it for a moment, and then turned right back to him. I picked up my jacket, pulled a chair over from another table, and sat down at the end, next to a coworker of hers I barely knew. Ethan watched me the entire time with a smug, calculated smile. He dominated the conversation, ordered appetizers for the table without asking anyone, and told stories that centered on him and Chloe, full of private jokes. At one point, he even fed her a bite of his steak with his own fork. She just laughed and accepted it. I was stuck at the far end of the table, making small talk about nothing with strangers, while my girlfriend let another man act like he was her date. When the bill arrived, Ethan snatched it and announced he was covering that round of drinks. Everyone thanked him. He was positioning himself as the leader of our group. On the drive home, the silence in the car was heavy until I finally broke it. "You need to set some boundaries with your friend." "What are you talking about?" she asked. He took my seat. "You saw me standing there, and you just let him stay there for 2 hours. It is just a chair, Liam. You are being so insecure." It was not insecurity. It was about watching another man take my place, both literally and symbolically. After a long pause, she reached over and took my hand. She apologized and promised she would talk to him. She said it would not happen again. I believed her. For a few weeks, she did seem to make an effort. When we were out, she acted like the perfect girlfriend. She put her phone away more and would gently pull back if he got too close. But I could still sense the private conversations happening. One day, while she was in the shower, I saw a text from Ethan pop up on her phone screen. "Don't worry about him. He'll get over it." Another time, I overheard her on the phone with him saying, "He is just really sensitive about boundaries. You did not do anything wrong." She was trying to play both sides. 6 months into our relationship, at a friend's wedding, Ethan gave a toast that was entirely dedicated to Chloe. He went on and on about her loyalty and how any man would be lucky to have her. The whole room clapped. I felt like a supporting character in the story of my own relationship. When I brought it up with her later, she just called me jealous. A week after that dinner at the brewery, she showed up at my hangar unannounced. That was unusual for her. She always complained about the smell of oil and metal. She said she had been thinking a lot about boundaries and wanted to prove to me that I was her priority. She pulled a key out of her purse and handed it to me, a key to her apartment. I took it. It felt like progress. She explained that Ethan had kept his key for years out of convenience, but giving one to me was a symbol of trust, a sign that she was choosing me. I should have asked her to get his key back. I did not. I did not want to come across as controlling. I was just grateful for the gesture. I thought it meant I had finally been promoted in her life. I failed to see that Ethan's key still worked just fine, and she had no intention of ever asking for it back. As November got closer, my birthday was approaching, and after 8 months together, the situation had only gotten worse. Ethan was everywhere, at her work events, at our friends' gatherings, even at a family barbecue where he was welcomed like a son. Her dad would greet him with a booming voice and a handshake. Her mom would ask for his opinion on things before she asked for mine. Her sister once joked that it must be weird dating someone whose best friend already acted like her husband. Chloe just laughed. It was not funny at all. The worst of it happened in October, during a weekend trip to a cabin near Aspen she had booked for my birthday. She had told me it would be romantic, just the two of us, no work, no phones. I took 3 days off, cleared my schedule, and drove 4 hours up to the mountains. When I pulled up to the cabin, her car was already there. So was Ethan's pickup truck. I just sat in my car for a minute, my stomach twisting into a knot. I walked inside and found him unpacking groceries in the kitchen. Chloe's sister and her boyfriend were carrying in luggage. Chloe came out of a bedroom, saw the look on my face, and immediately started making excuses. She claimed she thought it would be more fun if everyone came along. When I reminded her that she had promised it would be just us, she told me not to start. Ethan walked over, patted me on the shoulder, and started talking about all the things he had planned for the weekend, for my supposedly romantic birthday trip. The cabin had 3 bedrooms. Ethan, without asking, took the master bedroom for himself. We ended up in the smallest room because, as she put it, he needed more space. Her sister and her partner took the middle room. That night, Ethan took over the grill and turned cooking into a performance. Chloe was right by his side the whole time, helping him, laughing like she was his co-host. I sat out on the deck, forced into awkward small talk about football. Dinner was just him dominating the conversation with stories about his divorce, while she rubbed his shoulders sympathetically whenever he got emotional. I excused myself early, saying I was tired. She barely noticed. The second night, I woke up around 2 in the morning and realized she was not in bed. I went looking for her and found them on the back deck. Ethan was sitting in a chair, and Chloe was perched on the armrest, her head resting on his shoulder and her hand on his chest. It was way too close. I slid the glass door open, and they both jumped apart as if I had caught them doing something they should not have been. "We were just talking," she said defensively. "Ethan could not sleep, so you had to be out here with him at 2 in the morning?" I asked. "He is my best friend. I am not going to abandon him when he is hurting. Liam, do not make this weird. Just go back to bed." "I am going right now," I said. I just stood there, staring at her in silence until she started to look uncomfortable. A few minutes later, she came back to our room, got under the covers, and turned her back to me. Then she accused me of being jealous and controlling and said this was exactly why she had been worried about letting me get too close. I lay awake for 3 hours, just staring at the ceiling while she slept. On Sunday morning, I told her we needed to have a serious talk about her boundaries with Ethan. She said we would do it when we got home because she did not want to ruin the rest of the weekend. But when we got back, that conversation never happened. There was always an excuse. She had too much work, she was tired, it was not the right time. A week went by, then two. Every time I tried to bring it up, she deflected. She accused me of holding a grudge, said I needed to let things go, and claimed I was trying to control who she was friends with. She started using therapy speak against me. If I expressed a valid concern, I was being insecure, possessive, or even toxic. Healthy couples trust each other, she would say over and over. I did trust her, I just did not trust him. But in her mind, trusting her meant I had to trust Ethan too. And just like that, I became the villain for wanting basic boundaries. By month 10, Ethan's behavior was getting more blatant. One night, we were at a bar downtown with a group of friends. Chloe and I had been there for about an hour when he made a grand entrance. Loud greetings, buying a round of shots, making sure all the attention was on him. When we all sat down at a table, he squeezed in right next to Chloe, so I was on one side of her and he was on the other. During dinner, he kept leaning over her to talk to me, completely invading her personal space. He ordered more appetizers without asking anyone what they wanted. He reached his arm directly across her to grab the menu out of my hands. He kept bringing up other times he and Chloe had been to that restaurant, times that did not include me. When our food came, he started picking food off Chloe's plate with his own fork. She just laughed and did not tell him to stop. Later, we all moved over to the bar area. I went to get us a round of drinks. When I came back, Ethan had his hand on Chloe's waist, resting low on her hip. She was leaning into him slightly, laughing at something he said. I set the drinks down hard on the bar and looked straight at him. Move. His smile vanished. He looked at Chloe, clearly expecting her to defend him. Liam, come on, she said. I just repeated, move. He stepped back with his hands up, muttering something about me being territorial as he walked to the other end of the bar. Chloe immediately pulled me into the hallway, away from the group, and told me I had embarrassed her. I reminded her exactly where his hand had been. So what? Friends are allowed to touch, she said. Not like that. Not when their partner is standing right there, I shot back. She called me a dramatic caveman. She said I was always making a scene and that she was starting to regret ever introducing me to her friends. That one stung. I asked her if she really regretted it. She immediately backtracked, saying I just needed to be less reactive. Then she pulled out her phone and started typing. While I was standing there, trying to talk to her, she was texting him, apologizing for my behavior. I finished my drink in one go and walked out. I sent her a text from my truck saying I was going home. She did not reply for 3 hours. When she finally did, all she said was that I had ruined the night and that she had to spend the rest of the time explaining my attitude. She never asked if I was okay. I told her in no uncertain terms that Ethan had to start respecting our relationship, or he could not be around as much. She agreed. Things were better for about 2 weeks, and then everything slowly slid right back to how it was before. In November, with my birthday coming up, I told her I wanted to do something simple. Dinner with a few close friends, maybe finally go see that new exhibit at the Aviation Museum. Chloe got weirdly excited and insisted on planning something big. I told her that was not necessary, but she claimed she wanted to handle everything. I made one thing clear. Ethan should not be involved in the planning. She agreed way too quickly. The week before the party, she was acting strange. She was constantly on her phone, coordinating things she would not let me see. If I walked into the room, she would quickly flip her phone face down. It is a surprise, she would say. Do not spoil it. She told me to be at the Harlow, a trendy event space, on Friday at 7 o'clock. Renting a place like that had to cost at least a couple $1,000s. On Tuesday, I got home from work early and found her on a video call in the bedroom with the door closed. I could hear her saying something about not putting his name anywhere visible because he would see it when he walked in. I pushed the door open, and she abruptly ended the call. She claimed it was just business with the venue coordinator. When I asked why my name should not be visible, she got defensive. On Wednesday, her phone buzzed on the kitchen counter. It was a text from Ethan. I cannot wait for Friday. It is going to be perfect. I just stood there, staring at that message. That night, my friend Mark texted me. He said Chloe had added him to a group chat to plan the party and that it seemed like the whole thing was really important to Ethan. I called him immediately. He told me there were about 15 people in the group chat. Chloe had told everyone that Ethan was going through a lot this year and needed some support, and that my birthday was the perfect occasion. Mark sent me a screenshot. The name of the group chat was Party Planning, November 22nd. Chloe's message read, "So excited to get everyone together to celebrate someone who has been through so much this year. Ethan really needs to feel the love. Liam's birthday is the ideal time to do it." I saved the image. When Chloe got home that evening, I was sitting in the living room waiting for her. "Is Ethan coming to this party?" I asked. For a split second, she looked guilty, but then her expression hardened. "Why are you so obsessed with Ethan? It is your night." That was not an answer. She finally admitted he might stop by. I held up my phone and showed her the screenshot. The color drained from her face. She asked who had sent it to me. I just pointed out that she had lied to me. She tried to justify it by saying she was just trying to do something nice for both of us, that with Ethan's divorce and losing his job, she thought she could combine the events. I told her my birthday was not an efficiency strategy. She called me selfish and toxic. I told her I was going to my hangar for a while, and that when I got back, she needed to have decided whether the party was for me or for him. On Friday morning, she sent me a text. "I cannot wait for tonight. You are going to love it." I felt a sick knot forming in my stomach. I left work at 6. I parked my truck a block away from the Harlow and looked through the windows. The place was fully decorated. At 6:45, Ethan arrived. He was not walking in like a guest. He was carrying a box, like he was part of the setup crew. I walked in at exactly 7. There were between 30 and 40 people there. Music was playing, drinks were flowing. It was a full-on party. The venue was nice, with high ceilings, exposed brick walls, and generic silver and black decorations. But there was nothing personal about it. Then I noticed them. All over the room, on every little table, were framed photos of Chloe and Ethan. There was a big photo board next to the bar covered in pictures of them from trips, weddings, and concerts. Always together, arms around each other, heads leaning together. They looked like a couple. The main banner hanging over the bar read, "Celebrating New Beginnings." It did not say, "Happy Birthday, Liam." Near the entrance, there was a message board where people had written notes, "So proud of you," and "You deserve this fresh start." None of them mentioned my name. Chloe saw me and walked over, smiling. "You made it. What do you think?" "Interesting choice of decor," I said. Her smile faltered. "What do you mean? Where's my name?" "It is implied, Liam. Everyone here knows it is your birthday." I looked around the room. I did not know half of these people. Based on the decorations, a stranger would have no idea who they were supposed to be celebrating. Just then, Ethan appeared at her side, a drink in his hand, looking way too comfortable. He was wearing a new blazer and had a fresh haircut, the kind of grooming you do when you expect to be the center of attention. "Happy birthday, man," he said, moving in for a hug. I did not move an inch. Chloe grabbed my hand. "Come on, people want to say hi." She dragged me around the room, introducing me to her colleagues, friends from her gym, and some distant cousins I barely remembered. Everyone was polite, but something felt off. They would wish me a quick, happy birthday, and then immediately turn their attention back to her, asking how she was, if she was excited for the celebration, how long she had been planning the event. No one asked me about my work or my life. I was just the excuse for the party. Ethan, meanwhile, was working the room like a politician. People greeted him like he was the host. Long hugs, big smiles, and genuine enthusiasm. At 7:30, the DJ turned the music down. Chloe took the microphone. "Thank you all so much for coming tonight." She was looking right at Ethan as she spoke. "This past year has been difficult for some, but it has also been a year of growth and figuring out what is truly important. Today, we are here to celebrate someone who has been through a lot and has come out so much stronger." I was standing off to the side. She still had not said my name. This person has taught me what real friendship and loyalty are, what it means to be there for someone when everything else is falling apart. Ethan had tears in his eyes. A few people in the crowd were nodding in agreement. Some were even dabbing their eyes. Before we cut the cake, I just want to say, Ethan, I am so incredibly proud of you. The room burst into applause. My birthday party, and she was giving a speech about Ethan. He went up and gave her a long, hard hug. People started chanting his name. He took the mic from her. "Thanks, Chloe. You have no idea what this means to me. This year has been so tough, the divorce, losing my job, but you have been there for me every single day. You are the only person I can really trust. There was more applause. He was openly crying now. I honestly do not think I would be here without you. Chloe was crying too, and they were holding hands. Then Ethan gestured toward the kitchen. Bring it out, he commanded, as if he was running the whole show. 2 waiters brought out a large cake with elaborate white frosting. When they got close enough for me to read the writing, I saw it. Congratulations, Ethan, and new beginnings. My name was not on it. His was. Mark was standing next to me, and he read it at the same time. Dude, what is this? Confused murmurs started spreading through the crowd. Wait, is not it Liam's birthday today? Someone asked. Chloe turned pale. She looked at me, then at the cake, then back at me. Ethan just kept smiling, soaking in all the attention. I walked over to the DJ booth, found the power strip on the floor, and unplugged it. The music cut out instantly. The room fell into absolute silence. I walked to the middle of the floor and stood right next to the cake with Ethan's name on it. For anyone who might be confused, I said, my voice calm and clear, today is my birthday, November 22nd. I am turning 31. Every eye in the room was now locked on Chloe. At some point during the planning, I continued, this event stopped being about me and became about Ethan. His name is on the cake. He got the speech. This is his moment. I looked directly at her. You used my birthday as a cover story. Liam, please, let me explain. No. I pulled out my phone and held up the screenshot of the group chat. This message right here says the party was really for Ethan, and my birthday was just a convenient date. Dead silence. So, enjoy the party. Eat the cake with his name on it. Celebrate whatever this is. I looked at Chloe one last time. We are done. Please, not here, she whispered. No, right here. You chose to disrespect me in public. You do not get to try and fix it in private. I pulled out my keys, slid the copy of her apartment key off the ring, and dropped it on the table right next to the cake. Do not contact me again. Then I turned around and walked out. Mark followed me out, along with a few of my other friends. Just outside the venue, someone was recording the whole thing on their phone. Did you get that on video? I heard someone ask. Good. Make sure you got all of it. I drove straight to Chloe's apartment building. I still had the emergency copy of her key I kept in my glove compartment. This was my last emergency. In under an hour, I had all of my clothes, my personal items, my books, the knife set I had bought for the kitchen, everything, packed into boxes. I left her things on the counter. My favorite hoodie that she always wore and the $90 bottle of wine I had been saving for our anniversary. I wrote a short note. Your key is with the doorman. Do not try to contact me. I changed her name in my phone to blocked and then blocked her on everything. Calls, texts, social media, email. I got back to my place around 10:30. My phone was blowing up with notifications. I sent one single message to a group chat with my friends. I am fine. Do not pass along any messages from Chloe. I am not going to discuss this. There are no sides to take. Then I muted the chat for 48 hours. The silence was incredible. Without Chloe, without Ethan, without constantly having to manage someone else's emotions, I could finally breathe. At 11, my doorbell rang. The security camera showed it was Ethan. Go away, I said through the intercom. Let us just talk, man to man. There is nothing to talk about. He tried to play the sympathy card, telling me that Chloe was devastated and that I had really hurt her. I almost laughed. Hurt her? At my own party with another man's name on the cake? I told him as much. He claimed it was all just a big misunderstanding and that I was overreacting. I calmly explained to him that he had spent the last year and a half systematically testing my boundaries, showing up uninvited, taking my seat at dinner, and touching my girlfriend like he was in a competition with me. We were not competing, he said. I just expected some basic respect from both of you, and neither of you was capable of giving it. I warned him that if he came back to my property, I would call the police for trespassing. He stood in front of the camera for another minute, trying to think of a comeback, but eventually, he just turned and walked away. On Saturday, I started cutting ties. I removed her as my emergency contact and changed all my streaming service passwords, starting with Netflix. I was checking my email when I found the receipt from the venue, a $1,500 charge to my credit card to celebrate another man on my birthday. I called the venue, and they told me there were no refunds. So I called my bank and initiated a chargeback. I sent them the screenshots of the group chat, a picture of the cake, and the text where she had dodged my questions about Ethan's involvement. After reviewing the evidence, the bank representative paused and said, "Sir, this is one of the most justified chargeback cases I have ever seen." The charge was reversed in 48 hours. On Sunday, her sister sent me a long text message telling me I had humiliated Chloe, that her career was on the line because of who was in that room, and that I should have handled it privately. I sent a single reply. She could have chosen not to throw a party for another man on my birthday. By that afternoon, the video from outside the venue was starting to circulate online. The title was, "When You Find Out Your Own Party Is Not For You." It went mildly viral. The comments were full of people pointing out the cake and the fact that my name was never mentioned in the speech. On Monday, I dropped her remaining things off with her doorman. Ethan posted a vague status on social media. Some people just cannot stand to see others being supported during hard times. Real men support their friends. I took a screenshot of that and sent it to our mutual friends, just in case anyone still had any doubts. The friend group quickly distanced themselves from both of them. A week later, I received a letter from her lawyer demanding that I reverse the chargeback. My lawyer sent a reply telling them to feel free to try and make me. We never heard from them again. 3 weeks later, the consequences really started to catch up with them. Chloe brought Ethan as her date to her company's annual gala. Apparently, he was half drunk and wearing an ill-fitting suit. People recognized him from the video. The whispers started, and eventually, security had to escort him out after he made some inappropriate jokes. Her company's human resources department called her in for a meeting about professional boundaries. They tried to rehab their image on social media, but no one was buying it. Chloe tried to throw another party with about 20 guests. Only 3 people showed up. Ethan lost ground in his custody battle with his ex-wife. She used his social media posts as evidence against him. They started blaming each other for everything. In January, I declined a family invitation to an event where I knew they would be present. In February, her mother saw me at a coffee shop and apologized. "You deserved so much better," she said. "Thank you," I replied. In March, they got into a huge public screaming match at a wedding. Mark sent me the video. She was yelling, her makeup running down her face, and he was just laughing at her. Someone commented on a post about it. "This is who you left a good man for." There was no reply. In April, I met someone at a gala for the Aviation Museum. She is a curator, incredibly smart and refreshingly straightforward. On our 3rd date, she just asked, "So, where do you see this going? I like you, and I would like to be exclusive." "I am interested in that," I said. It was that simple. A year later, we were at dinner celebrating her promotion. She was asking me about my work, treating me like a real partner. My phone buzzed. It was an unknown number. "Liam, we need to talk. Tomorrow at 7 at the Scenic Overlook. I will be there whether you show up or not." I looked at the text for about 3 seconds. Blocked. Deleted. "Everything okay?" my girlfriend asked. "Just spam," I said. At 7 o'clock the next evening, I was in my garage, rebuilding the engine of a 1944 Mustang. It was precision work. My phone stayed silent. Chloe waited at the overlook alone. 2 days after that, a new email arrived. "I know you asked for no contact, but I really need you to understand." I read the first line. Blocked. I set up a stricter filter. Today, I am 32. I am in a relationship with someone who actually wants to be with me. My restoration business is thriving. I just finished work on that 1944 P-51 Mustang, and it is going to be featured in an air show. Life is good. Sometimes, I see posts about Chloe through mutual friends, vague messages about growth and learning from mistakes. Ethan moved out of state after his custody situation got more complicated. I do not care. In our old friend group, the story of that night is told like a legend. Is it true? He really unplugged the DJ, talked for 30 seconds, and just walked out. Cold. No, that is called having standards. A month ago, I ran into Chloe's sister. She told me I was the one that got away. I was not the one who got away. I corrected her. I was the one who walked away. Later that night, my girlfriend asked me, "Do you ever regret walking away from someone who put another man's name on your birthday cake?" "Not for a single second," I said. She laughed. Fair enough. 2 weeks ago, Ethan tried to reach out again. "Liam, it is Ethan. I just wanted to talk man to man and clear the air." Blocked. Deleted. I kept working on the engine. My girlfriend walked into the garage. "Dinner is ready," she said. "I am coming." She kissed my temple and went back inside. I tightened the last bolt, wiped the grease from my hands, and followed her into the house. Comment: sometimes the hardest part of loving someone is realizing that they do not respect the boundaries that keep a relationship safe. Walking away from a situation where you feel unseen is not an act of anger, but rather a profound step toward true self-respect. We all deserve a partner who protects our peace instead of testing our limits. Letting go of an unbalanced dynamic allows you to create space for genuine kindness and people who truly value your presence. It takes real courage to choose calm over constant emotional chaos. Healing begins the exact moment you decide that your self-worth is no longer up for negotiation. When you walk away from disrespect, you are actually walking toward the life you are meant to live. I hope you always remember to trust your instincts and stand firm in what you know you deserve. Take a moment today to reflect on your own inner circle and make sure you are receiving the same care you give out. Please share your thoughts with me below, and let's continue to support each other in building healthy connections. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.